What's up, everybody? This is another episode. What's up, everybody? This is a live stream of the cryptocurrency news of the day for April 19th, 2018. I'm going to skip the background music today in hopes that it might tighten up the video a bit. So go ahead and like this video, subscribe to the channel, follow me on Twitter at AltcoinAtheist, and donate to any of those three QR codes if you have any extra of those three cryptocurrencies lying around. And let's jump into it. On CoinDesk, the new Ethereum tech named Perun, who is the god of lightning, it's going to be the name of their payments channel, basically. Perun works like other state channels that aim to move transactions off of the blockchain. However, the difference here is that parties involved can register the current state of the contract at any time on the blockchain, enabling smart contracts to rewind channels to the last state at which parties agreed on them. The way this is useful is that in the case when two possibly malicious parties send conflicting states to the channel contract, the logic of the contract will select the latest state on which both users have agreed on. So it's especially useful against one person trying to deceive the other person in their payment channel. They will go back to where there was consensus on when it actually gets sent onto the blockchain. And then even if both want to act maliciously in order to kind of like smudge the funds that they have, and they'll agree that they'll just benefit each other by not actually like sending that much, or they sent more than they did and things like that. Then when it gets sent to the blockchain, that will also verify it, so it helps prevent against both parties, such as in that, as it mentions here, and then also it's quite well against preventing one party from doing something of a similar nature. We are convinced that in the context of cryptocurrencies, a sound security analysis is of particular importance, because security flaws have a direct monetary value and hence, unlike in many other settings, are guaranteed to be exploited. Basically, since your cryptocurrency is holding money, rather than having to hack a system and get passwords or try to get inside and upload a USB or like any movie type things or any things that you actually see happen on a fairly regular basis, instead of having to do those extra steps, you can just hack the code and then have that currency, have that cryptocurrency, which is in a sense currency, or if you wanted to move it into fiat, would only be a few steps away from being able to, technically launder it in to fiat in a hard-to-trace manner. The way they got to Perun was a bit meandering. They had a file-sharing app. They agreed that they needed a two-layer solution. They weren't quite sure how it would happen. Now with the success of Lightning on the Bitcoin and Litecoin networks, they are deciding to do a similar thing in terms of the payment channel, with the extra support being that it has the ability to go back in time to where there was consensus between the two parties in the blockchain. Vitalik Buterin even said he has plans to come up with a similar security framework for Plasma, a highly anticipated scaling project he co-authored last year, which startups like Go are now putting into practice. I personally am satisfied that it's fundamentally possible to achieve all the things that you claim in the way you are doing it. Plasma is the way for like the two transactions to almost verify the transaction themselves, in terms of having it be mathematically possible that those two transactions could happen. And then the next layer of verification would be when it goes onto the blockchain in smaller blocks, similar to the method that Lightning uses to put more transactions on the network while taking up less space. So if Ethereum has Perun running well, and they have Plasma up and running at some time this year, even if it's just like in the same sense Lightning was up and running in January, if Perun's up and running at some point like that this year, that'll provide a lot of relief on the network, and it'll be two very positive steps towards long-term scaling as well. Also on CoinDesk, $6.3 billion in ICO funding has already been raised, passing 2017's total. It's slightly misleading because, as you can see, Telegram in this visual representation is a huge chunk of it, and it was a $1.7 billion token sale. However, it was only released through basically private investors and funds. I'm sorry, yeah, like venture capital funds. There we go. Lost it for a second. But so it wasn't a public offering or a public token sale, and now not all of these are, but that's why it mentions here that if you remove it entirely, which I would do personally, ICOs have still raised $4.6 billion this year, or 85% of the 2017 total. So they're still doing plenty well without being able to advertise on Google. They're all over YouTube now. I don't know why Google, which is partnered with YouTube, doesn't ban it off of YouTube too, but now I went from getting ads from like Ty Lopez or sports or whatever, because I use the same YouTube for all of my video watching, and in the past like 2 weeks I've only gotten ICO ads, and I've been watching less cryptocurrency videos than usual on YouTube. So they're making up for it other ways. Actual successful projects still have they're still promising, such as like Nucleus Vision. That's just one I hold personally, so that's why I feel comfortable talking about it. I believe they had their private sale in late 2017, but that was just and then their public sale this year. So between those two, you could list it as, I believe it'll go under 2017 funding. But that's a real world project, which is like analyzing video, whether through their own webcams or just getting your own feed, and analyzing shopping habits. And let's say they accept to have like a shopping cart through your store. You can have a chip so that it'll track their movement, what they get all the time, some extra information, things like that. And it analyzes all of that to create shopping metrics, and can also be used for security if you use their approved high enough quality cameras. So that's a real world product, which is having this token serve as both a utility token, which you can use to pay for the service if you run a shop or things like that, or you could use it as like a digital asset / digital stock, where you're holding onto that token and having it appreciate in value based on the value of the company, which is like a stock or a security. So I believe that when they do have to file, if they don't go down as a utility token, they'll still meet the requirements to be a security, but they would probably rather be a utility token, not only for the ease and regulation, but because you will be able to use it for their products and services. Alright, the Craigslist of crypto is making millions where Bitcoin is needed most. Local Bitcoins, which is the site I first got Bitcoin off of, is a lo-fi site dedicated to letting people buy and sell their Bitcoins locally. The peer-to-peer marketplace accounts for only a sliver of worldwide Bitcoin trading. Last week it handled $62 million in trades. That may be less than the top 20 exchanges do in a day, but it's still gaining traction in markets where it's generally harder to acquire Bitcoin. The Venezuelan transaction spiked to a new all-time high this month, as well as it did in Tanzania and Peru. All countries are struggling to recover from banking industry slumps. So as their fiat currency is becoming less useful, and getting it online is becoming more difficult and harder to do in a private manner, since you don't trust your government in those senses, or if you just don't personally, then you can acquire your Bitcoins that way. So your initial wallet address isn't directly tied to, your legal name. So they've been gaining traction in the markets where it's been more of a problem, as it's just a bigger picture sign that as restrictions tighten, these other services and decentralized exchanges and decentralized services, all of them are going to still have their place in the market, if not gain more in terms of what they currently have. So they may not gain more market share, but as the things like Coinbase and Gemini and Binance, etc., all start to do all this know your customer and provide some residential, like yeah, know your customer laws and anti-money laws. That will bring so much like institutional and typical money into the market that they will swell up rapidly. But then all of the extra money in the market and all of the new people who want to come in and believe in cryptocurrency but also want to get into it in a more, let's say, private manner, things like local Bitcoins and decentralized exchanges will also continue to do well. Amazon may soon accept Bitcoin. Amazon Technologies, a subsidiary of American electronic commerce and cloud computing giant Amazon.com, has won a patent for a marketplace that offers data feeds. The U.S. Patent and Trademark Office has approved Amazon Technologies' filing for a patent on a streaming data marketplace. For example, a group of electronic or internet retailers who accept Bitcoin transactions may have a shipping address that correlate with the Bitcoin address. The electronic retailers may combine the shipping address and the Bitcoin transaction data to create correlated data and republish the combined data as a combined data stream. Basically, you buy it through a site that knows your name and address. You have it. It gets that your name and address now gets associated with that Bitcoin address. So now every transaction that Bitcoin address does, assuming they have something automatically scan the Bitcoin public ledger, which I'm sure they do. So they have your name, address, Bitcoin wallet address, everything you do from that wallet address, all under a file that will help them give you a combined data stream or know absolutely everything about you and everything you've ever spent. A group of telecommunications providers may subscribe downstream to the combined data stream and be able to correlate the IP of the transactions to countries of origin, so help retrace the IP addresses to their actual location. So even if your name and address that you gave because you don't want to get tracked is false, they will try to track you. So granted, if you're that skeptical of it, you probably have a VPN, which will then mask what they're trying to use, or you use Tor, which they won't be able to find your information that way. But for the average person who's not taking all these extra precautions, they have a full profile on you. The good and the bad. On one hand, providing law enforcement agencies and regulators with a wealth of Bitcoin-related information obviously detracts from cryptocurrency's promise of relative anonymity, though the public ledger is, as the name describes, public. The whole concept of Bitcoin being anonymous, it's only applicable if you get your Bitcoin through local Bitcoins, basically, or another like person-to-person transaction where that person does not know your full legal name and pertinent information about you. So if anyone ever wanted to like speak to them and find out who you were, they would be giving inaccurate information. Other than that, your Bitcoin wallet address has everything tracked from the time you buy it. If you're a Know Your Customer, if you signed up through a Know Your Customer site, which I was willing to sacrifice, as I've also bought it through local Bitcoins and Bitcoin ATMs, since I'm fortunate enough to live in an area where there's actually a few Bitcoin ATMs, and I have a job where I drive all over the area I live, so I get to try out those Bitcoin ATMs too. But if you just are buying it online and not doing it through local Bitcoins, every transaction from your wallet address is tracked. To the negative, on the other hand, or on the positive, providing Amazon and its stable of vendors with an effective mechanism to accept Bitcoin payments is a massive boost to the dominant cryptocurrency's quest for mass acceptance. You don't need to give them all of your information for them to accept Bitcoin as a cryptocurrency. Just like you don't have to give Pornhub $20 million for them to accept your form of cryptocurrency for and only use two services that already exist. So you didn't have to spend anything to implement it. It's just unnecessary giving. Like even on Last Week Tonight, there's reports of when cities just give companies money for them to come to their city, even though they said that they were already likely to go to that city, or that they were just bringing employees over and it wasn't going to add anything to that city. Like they're just giving stuff away for no reason. And that's exactly what would happen with this Amazon deal. If they are able to track everything down to that level, the patents means they're going to start trying to formulate it. And while this seems like a small bit of news right now, this is like a slippery slope. Even though Amazon's already been super overarching. That's going to frustrate me. I'm going to have to look that up later. But yeah, they've been super overarching in terms of their like data accumulation, since most websites host themselves through Amazon because their services are so cheap and effective compared to some like decentralized options. But if you're being quite honest with yourself, if you're going to have this website be reliant on your income and like career, basically, hosting it on Amazon is a pretty good level of comfort, knowing that the prices will stay somewhat regular and that the stability of it will be solid. So I use Amazon. This sounds like I think Amazon is the worst or something, but they have a lot of data. They have a lot of ability to collect your information. Jeff Bezos is already, I was going to say friendly, but I suppose familiar with the Pentagon and CIA and the NSA and all of those, since he's been in communications with them and he sat on Pentagon boards. Him collecting all of the information, he's definitely pro having all of the information. I don't believe he's pro giving it away to everyone. I do think he is pro giving it to the government, though. So, however heavy that weighs on your importance scale, take it into consideration. If you don't care at all, then yeah, the news that Amazon is going to start linking Bitcoin addresses to IP addresses and names and information in order to provide even more tracking ability of what you're spending and where and what you're doing, that will definitely lead to more like advertisers and businesses focusing on Bitcoin. Next up on Cointelegraph, the last one was on Bitcoinist. The Dow Jones Media Group and Brave blockchain platform to test consent-based ads. The basic attention token, the concept of it is that you willingly give up information or like looking at a site or like looking at a service, and then those sites and services already want to pay people, and rather than try to use marketing companies or middlemen to find people who are interested in that website, service, or product, then you just sign up and kind of like onboard yourself saying that I like this service or product, and you're able to give them money at this stage in time on Brave by either choosing to view all of their ads or actually give them basic attention tokens. And now this is the development of it going the other way, and now you getting compensated in basic attention tokens for looking at their thing, or looking at their product, which is what the initial point of it was. Dow Jones Media Group will be testing out how to have the ads like go directly to them through Brave. So I'm not sure if, I'm not going to pull it up, but if you open Brave or download Brave and then you go to your settings and you go to payments, it'll have the websites you frequent often, and you can set up some sort of like auto deposit of $5, which will let you support sites you like and browse ad free for months. If there's like 5 sites you like, that'll let you browse for months. And you can set it for however much you want to give to those sites, which is nice. But now the ultimate thing is, now that a media and ad group is signing on with Brave, now those sites can be official partners of the basic attention token, basically. So there's a more direct relationship between the consumer and the company, with Brave still acting as somewhat of a middleman, but it's not their primary business interest to be the middleman, which is the upside. They're just a blockchain-based browser, and they're hoping that bringing more integration to the system will then also bring more user activity to their browser. So they just want it to be as like successful and used as possible, rather than as immediately profitable as possible. So Brave is on the right path, especially with this one. So let's for instance say they don't have what some of the websites are. Well, let's say one of the websites that's part of the Dow Jones group is something business related. So let's say it's Business Insider. And Business Insider partners with Brave to be an official basic attention token partner. Now, when you go to that site, you could check the box to view all of their ads, to maybe answer some questions, watch an extra video, and they will pay you in basic attention tokens to do so. Or if you want to support that site because maybe they've been paying you or you use them free for so long, now you want to support them, you can do all those things I just mentioned, but not have them pay you and just do it for free. Or you could pay them in basic attention tokens that you have because you bought them when they were super low, and now that they're actually getting some usage, the price is continuing to go up. There's lots of all of the things associated with this are positive, is what I guess I'm trying to say. And this is, like, honestly, it's kind of huge news. I guess huge news would be, like, it's functional, it's been working well, the results are out, but it's still very exciting news. More exciting news is IBM and major banks' blockchain partnership reports first live pilot transactions. They use a blockchain trade finance platform called Batavia, which has resulted in the platform's first live pilot transactions. IBM, the Bank of Montreal, CAIXA Bank, Commerce Bank, Erste Group, and the United Bank of Switzerland began work on the initiative last fall. According to the announcement, the initial transactions involve sending cars from Germany to Spain and furniture production textiles from Austria to Spain. Joint successful live transaction demonstrates the potential of such a platform. It made it so that they can now do this international transaction on this blockchain system way faster and way clearer with way less fees than if they were to do it through the traditional banking systems. And it went through and it worked. And it's something major like IBM. The Bank of Switzerland is a very respectable bank. Bank of Montreal has been doing well lately as well. I'm entirely unfamiliar with these three. So very promising, very major players in the payments technology game with IBM and then those banks. Good day for news today. The fourth largest crypto exchange, and I've done terrible at keeping this short. The world's fourth largest crypto exchange, Huobi, expands to London as entry point to EU market. Said that they're not going to Malta, they're not going to Switzerland, absolutely London, more precisely Britain is the entry point for the European market for us. Choice of London sends a clear message to Chung that the exchange wants to go mainstream by being compliant with relevant regulations. I'm not sure what regulations they're going to be able to comply with because the UK and London and Britain and really Europe for the most part, not all of Europe, seems kind of iffy on what exactly their regulations will be, and they're all waiting for someone to take the lead, with Switzerland having the largest lead right now. Like, they're setting the ICO guidelines. They were doing all the analysis of the blockchain. Not all, but they're doing a lot of the analysis of the blockchain. They're trying to be forward, especially when with the mining and all of that. But Huobi is trying to go to London, hoping that they will just do some sort of basic know your customer anti-money laws, and then hopefully be able to sign on as a digital asset exchange. And that will provide enough legal stability for them to operate functionally there. Otherwise, I think they'll probably have to move if they have to register as a full, whatever the UK equivalent of a trading platform is. If they were going to have to register as their full stock exchange and then have all of the tokens on their site, then have to comply with the resulting restrictions. I don't know, it seems like a bit much, especially for that exchange. And it's very possible we just see them leave Britain. And speaking of Malta, or Britain/Malta, and where those companies are going, the blockchain-friendly Malta attracts another blockchain company. The blockchain-based equity fundraising platform New Fund, whose technology allows tokenization of shares and fundraising on the blockchain, is announcing that it will establish a strong presence in Malta and support Malta's rapidly expanding blockchain ecosystem. So if they need to raise a lot of funds and store a lot of shares and then tokenize them and have it all be so secure that they're not at risk. It's very beneficial to be in a country like Malta, where they're totally on board with you. They'll let you store it. They understand how valuable it is. Like I'm speaking of storing it in terms of like the seed codes and things like that of the cryptocurrencies that they'll be holding, and also for having a banking system that complies with all of cryptocurrency will make it so you can hold all that fiat in typical systems rather than like having a warehouse and armed guards or something like that, like it's a marijuana industry. Or if you're in a country that doesn't have the government on board whatsoever, you can only assume that holding all of that fiat and acquiring it through all of the non-traditional means just adds a lot of, to use just a slang term, it makes it so extra that there's no real need for that. So if new fund moves to Malta, it'll make everything easier for them. It'll make them more legally compliant, and it can continue to work as they are and grow. Yeah, the rest of it's talking about everything but Malta and new fund, but the more fundraising sources and money that there are and that are legally compliant, the better, in my opinion. So a lot of good news today. Explains why the markets have stayed in the green for sure. Even beyond just kind of like that general trend going that way, there has been a lot of good news to support the belief in that. And that's about it. I hope you enjoyed the live stream. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, follow me on Twitter at altcoinatheist. Head to proofofhat.com if you like this hat. Or head to cryptowhaleclothing.com. I believe that's their website. I got it right here in the description. Yeah, to cryptowhaleclothing.com, and they have some of the best, like, stylish and trendy shirts for cryptocurrencies. And yeah, if you want to get this shirt, go to the litecoinfoundation.org, where you could pay for a Litecoin for the stuffs. And it's all pretty reasonably priced. Not as cheap as Proof of Hat, but still good products. Lots of stuff on there. Lots of information. And that's about it. Later.